My guest today is Joan Henry, someone who has spent the past 35 years working in new product commercialization at the 3M company. For the past 6 of those, she led new product commercialization at the corporate level. Joan is someone I've also been fortunate enough to have worked closely with for many of those years, over 10 of those years. Joan, thank you so much for being here and welcome. As we've discussed, you've had an amazing career at 3M, enabling teams to use science and technology to drive growth from new products for really what I think is one of the greatest innovation companies in the world. In your opinion, what are the 3 most important things companies must consistently do in order to grow through innovation and product development?
A couple of things that I think are really important in this is that companies, no matter how big or small they are, they need some sort of standard commercialization process to help them kind of define what their teams and what their gatekeepers and all the people involved in commercialization. That's the thing. Commercialization is a pretty complicated, big, expansive thing, right? With all of the functions and resources that are available to do new product commercialization. So I think that commercialization process helps to define, it helps to visualize and manage new product development in general. That process, again, depending on the size of your company, needs to be agile. You know, in a company the size of 3M, with so many different kinds of projects and products that we do, everything from material to electronic to respiratory kinds of things, we really needed a process that we could have kind of a bare minimum, and then things that could be modified or be at least agile enough for the type of project that either the division is doing or a particular team is doing. So you need an agile process to be able to do that, to help communicate to everyone who's doing this kind of what their ground rules are. So I think that's one of the really big ones. The second is companies and businesses need to be able to manage their pipelines and their resources. So their money, the people, the time. The other thing that's really critical, that if you lose sight of this, you'll have a lot of difficulty, I think, being successful. And that is being able to understand on any project that you're doing, you know, it's the real win-worth. Is it real? Do the customers really want it? Is it something they'd be delighted in buying and they'd be willing to pay the money it will take to develop that product and sell it? Can we win at it? Can we feasibly make this product that's going to make them happy? And can we manufacture it? Can we design it? All of those kinds of things. And then the last one is it worth it? Yeah, I'm going through all of the resources that you need to develop it through commercialization, and understanding your market, your global market, and how far of a reach your product might have will help you determine how successful you can be. Is it worth doing? If I have 10 things to pick from, I want to pick from the things that obviously we can do technically and manufacture it, and that it will be successful. I mean, we all have tons of ideas, but if we can't get them through that, is it real? Can we win? Is it worth it? You're probably not picking the best ones to look at. So that would be my answer.
Tied into this concept of decision making, and I'm curious for your opinion on what makes for a great gate meeting. What happens before, during, and after that meeting? What can companies do to manage those meetings more effectively?
This is another one of those that it's kind of it depends a little bit, right? Gate reviews really should be absolutely honest, open, data-based, needs to be based on data. So the tests that have been run, whether it's market tests or anything else, when you're going through that gate and when you're presenting this to management so that everybody gets on the same page, it's important that these teams understand that you need to have the data to support it. Sometimes you have folks going, oh, I know what the customer wants. I know what they need, that, this is it. And that may be true to some extent, but it's important that you do the kind of work that you need to do to support what it is you're asking for from management, or what will need to be put in place to develop something or manufacture something. And sometimes teams tend to want to, but they feel like they're only successful if they get a positive, go on to the next phase kind of thing. And it's important for everyone to understand that it's about that honest information which came to them by doing the work to collect the data, to then be able to answer the critical questions. Do we move forward with this or do we not? And if the team says, after all the work that they've done, the team comes back and says, these are some areas that we just think are really going to be a problem. We may have a little bit of a problem manufacturing this, right? So part of that is that, can we win? Can we do it? They're important to ask those questions, and it's so simple that everyone misses them. And it is as simple as, is it real? Do they really want it, or are we pushing it because it's a product that we know we can make and we want to put it out there? Sometimes that's the case, because sometimes customers don't even know what's possible. But for the most part, real win worth are the questions that need to be asked at a gate review, and for everyone to understand those. Best to do that determination up front, rather than getting almost to the point where you're manufacturing it and now you've discovered that there are some things that you weren't thinking about because you didn't do that work as you started it. So documenting what's coming out of gate reviews after the gate review, obviously making sure that you're really documenting what were the action items that came out of it. How are you going to respond back to the management team that's there now that it's documented, and making sure that you're putting that back in the system so that you can actually do that. The transparency of that is in the system and available for people to see. And I think the other thing is that one of the challenges I think people have is getting all those people in the same room, especially today. We do a lot of Zoom stuff. I think what's absolutely critical is that the gatekeepers, the people who are voting, yes, no, go, whatever, that they are there and they're present, that they're not focusing on other things. They're not on the computer doing stuff. They want to make these succinct and as productive as possible, right? So that's going to keep those folks on track when they're sitting in those gate reviews. But if they can't be there, you can't hold a gate review if your critical manufacturing manager or VP is not there to weigh in, right? So if they can't be, they're traveling, they can't be there, okay, they have to have a delegate show up to those gate reviews. And if they're going to do that, it's upon that gatekeeper's responsibility to educate that person who's going to be sitting in the room, to say, these are the things I have concerns about, these are the things I want communicated, that sort of thing. Because you waste a lot of time in gate reviews with people not being prepared.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned this idea of no surprises, and the time of the people in those meetings. And these are, executives, these are highly paid people. You don't want to waste time in those discussions. Ideally, it's not about educating those people. It's about just helping people focus on the issues that matter, right?
Yes.
And that's what that cross-functional dialogue is all about. If you're spending time having a product manager read off slides to these executives, that's just a real lost opportunity. As you know, Brightfire is focused on companies that are a little bit less sophisticated, a little bit less mature than companies like 3M. And yet they've got similar needs in regard to gate decision making and portfolio prioritization and so on. I'm curious from a technology standpoint, what are some things that you would say are minimum viable requirements that those companies ought to be looking for?
I think it kind of goes back to that keep it simple kind of thing, right? The more, or maybe another way to say that is maybe to start out simply, because you can always add, you can always do more with something, but you need to get people, first of all, what I used to always say is you need to get people walking, right? They're little infants, they're walking, and then eventually they start to run, and eventually then, and as they get more proficient at things, there's always more opportunities to do something with those. When you're looking at a system like this, it needs to be easy and straightforward to build it the way you need to build it for your company, right? Because every company might have a different list of what those things are or how they might want to do either portfolio management or product development. I think it's important that it helps guide what the process is for people, and that that's something that you as a company can actually put in the system. In other words, it's not just this mysterious black box. It's really more about tailoring whatever that is to how you need to run your business.
I wonder if you could talk just a little bit on this, in this vein, about the importance of having a partner that understands your business process, not just the technology.
Mm-hmm. Critical, criticals, especially as you're starting out in this process. I think sometimes, especially small and medium sized, don't even, the concept of a portfolio pipeline is probably even somewhat foreign, other than, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, right? And everybody's kind of, so I think it's really important to have a partner who knows what they're doing in terms of both the business and the technical side, and whatever application you might be using to build that with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, and we've talked about this. This is one of the reasons why this area I think is so fun, is it requires bringing together a lot of different kinds of skills and mindsets and approaches that go beyond just technology, right? That go beyond also just the business process. It's this intersection of things that are so important to get right from a lot of different dimensions.
Absolutely.
Well, Joan, thank you so much. This has just been a terrific conversation and very insightful, and I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot out of it. So thank you for everything you shared today, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.